Hello everybody and welcome to the channel Bob Sales this times next year. So you may have noticed an upturn in the market the last couple of days. It has been going up. There may be some other factors to this, so please don't jump the gun too much. So my Bob Sales account, for instance. So right now my Bob Sales account is sitting at 1.5 in comics alone, whereas at one point that was about 3.5 to 4. But obviously with all the downturn in the market and everything else, the big dips we've been in the last 6 months, obviously that has gone down dramatically. So the lowest it went was to 1k in my comics, which is very, very low considering it was about 4k at one point. Well, today it's actually starting to look a bit more positive, and it's actually gone to 1.5 today, so it's actually gone up 500 gems today, and that's just in comic. I do have collectibles. My collectibles are literally interchangeable at this point. They're not something I tend to hold, although recently with the Veveverse announcement coming and everything else, I have started to hold some collectibles. So as I say, I do have some items in profit right now, and I'm actually quite tempted to take the profit. Now they're not huge profits, but right now I'm tempted to take the profit, hold the gems and then wait. But there is definitely some factors to take into play at this one. So one of the reasons we did start to dip was cash out was actually now an option. So we did actually have cash out. Now cash out recently has been lowered to 500 gems. And this definitely was having an effect on the market at the time. Now with Wire going down and us looking for a new cash out provider, well Veve I should say, we're kind of in limbo right now. So this could definitely take 2 weeks to 6 months at least. But with Veve doing as much due diligence as they did the first time round, I'm hoping they have other options. They must have looked at multiple options before taking the one. So I'm hoping it's going to not be no longer than 2 weeks. Because if it's more than 2 weeks, that is a problem. With all that being taken into account, you can clearly see that delisting has started to take place. So a lot of people now seem to be delisting their items because obviously they were trying to get to the 500 minimum withdrawal. And we all know it was definitely a lot easier to get to the 500 mark than it was the 1000 mark. So that's definitely one factor to take into this whole rising of the floors. Of course, the next one, the obvious one, is the thinning of the floors. For the last couple of months, you've seen the floors declining in the amount of issues available on a lot of stuff. So a lot of the comics, for instance, are down to 15, 20 listed. And this is down to the prices being so low, the activity in the app being so low. I mean, you can go and watch Veve Fox's video from yesterday or the day before. That actually shows you how many active wallets are minting right now. So there's definitely people minting, and it does show you in that video that it's also gone up a slight bit. So there's 2 points to this one. So the first one, with drops going under retail pretty regular recently, especially the comics, this has started to make you use your gems wisely and pick your drops. It's not as easy as it used to be to go for a drop, make double your money and then list straight in the market to recover them gems back and gains. The prices have got that low recently. A lot of people don't want to sell at the prices because they know what they paid in January or before that. And as I say, the last 6 months we've been on a steady decline. Some people at this point, some of the user base at this point have invested as much as they're willing to risk. And one of the other factors to the thinning floors, it is the time of the month. It is December. Obviously, we've just had Christmas. That gets an expensive month. Even me, myself, have been doing less drops because I've had other things I need to put the money on this month. Also, it is now January, everyone's longest payday, I think. So for me personally, I think it's 6 weeks till I get paid because everyone gets paid early, the Christmas, remember. In January, a lot of people are still recovering from the previous Christmas month. You can literally look at any business, whether it be restaurants, whether it be shops, even travel places. The overall market, no matter which sector it is normally down in January. Hence the January sales. So as I say, definitely be careful with thinning floors because they're not always to be trusted. The price gaps normally seem to be more sporadic, more spread out, and it does look like you can make gains easier, but be careful with this. If you hear this time last year, we had the January pump. I think everyone was buying floors, including me. It nearly got to the point where every comic was over 10 gems. There was nearly no comics under 10 gems. I was literally chasing floors, trying to buy them before they got over the 10 gem mark, knowing that I was running out of time to pick stuff up. Lo and behold, a year later, that was probably not the best move. I have Journey to the Mystery Uncommons for 120 gems, Thanos Rares for 120 gems, the Spider-Man web series. I have £30 each common for them. So you should definitely be careful with this. So even though I'm telling you to be careful with this, there are definitely some small plays you can make. 100% there is some plays you can make. You just got to be careful of the plays and the timing. At any point, Veve can get a new cash out provider like that, so that could happen. Now, initially, if you were still going to cash out, I would have thought you'd still be building the gems up just so it's there. What game plans could you implement right now? So obviously there's a standard collecting the comics, collecting the collectibles for the Veveverse, but what are your game plans? So right now, I'm going to share just a couple of my game plans. I don't advise anyone doing this. This is not financial advice, but it was just something that come across in the Superstar stream the other day when they put the 10 gem challenge across. I thought I could do really well on that. And I actually think we did do really well on that in the end. So with all that being said, let me introduce you to a couple of my game plans. So the first game plan I'd like to show you is a small term game plan. So this one takes 3 to 4 days every so often. So this was actually the game plan what I announced in the Superstars Discord. And this was based on the 10 gem plan. So basically, you spend 10 gems and you got 3 days to make as much profit on the 10 gems. What are you going to buy? So one of my first picks is a bit of a surprising pick, which is the Marvel Zombies comic. So when you go to this Marvel Zombies comic, and I'm talking about issue 3, the Wolverine one, right? This is the only one. So I'm going based on cover art alone. So one of my favourite characters is Wolverine. We know it's one of the best main sought after Marvel characters there is. And these covers are extreme to say the least. Now the rare variant is actually the silver background, and I do really like this one. This really popped. So I've been buying the rare for 10 gems. As soon as it goes up to 17, 18 gems, I then sell it. Yes, I hear you say, Bob, that is not a big profit. But again, that is a small profit. And if you do this every couple of days, that makes a big profit. Now, as soon as it gets to the 17, 20 gem mark, I then sell it. And then I go to the same book, but I go to the ultra rare. And then I buy one of them. These have been ranging from 14 to 17, I believe. And again, the same character, the same pose, the same everything apart from the background. And it's a very, very popular cover. Now I've got my ultra rare. And of course, both floors are really thin. But right now I'm holding an ultra rare, which I paid 14 to 17 for, off a profit. And currently there's only 11 listings on that floor. So again, this comic book has all the factors, the thin floors. It's the right character, it's the right cover, and it's the right price right now. A lot of people are holding this cover, so I can actually see this getting to 30, 40 gems. Now again, when I've needed to, I've actually sold these for around 20 to 25 gems. So I've actually made a small profit again. But ideally, this is a bigger game plan for the ultra rare. So I would definitely say that's going for more than the price I paid for it anyway when it gets there. But it's definitely not just this book you can do it on. So another example, 141, the Uncanny X-Men. So I've been doing the same thing with this one. 12 gems at current, and it's actually goes between 12 to 17 gems. With the market prices rising, this could get to 25 gems quick. And there is literally 11 on the floor again. So I think the ultra rares are definitely better for this play. So one of the other smaller game plans, so this one I would say would have been about 3-month game plan. But with the wire thing going down, this could slow progress for everything in the app until we get that sorted. And I hope it does. That should be first. But with that being said, one of the initial thoughts was to start buying vehicles while they were cheap. And yes, like I said, I've never said that on this channel ever before in my life. Now, you would never hear me say stuff like that normally on the channel. If you go back to my first 6 months, 8 months of the videos, the channel, you would never hear me say anything like that. But we do know the Veveverse is around the corner at some point, and some of these cars are sitting at 30 gems. Now, of course, you got Kit sitting at 30 gems. Now, it has slightly gone up a couple of nights. That car is fantastic in itself. Now, of course, with the cars, you want to be careful. So there's a lot of additions of some of the DeLoreans and stuff like that. So if it's a DeLorean, you probably only want to go for the flying ones. When you've got cars like Kit that are very, very unique, if you're building a Veveverse garage, are you going to want Kit in there? Because I think I would. I think I'm going to want every single car if I can. So one of my game plans is to start buying some more cars. But for me, I'm going to go for more the unique ones. The ones what you have to have. I'm definitely going to avoid the high mint DeLorean common, for instance. If you get a DeLorean, it's definitely got to be the flying one. But Kit for 30 gems, fully AR functional, the whole inside works, the lights are fixed now. It is a great collectible. But one of the things I do want to be clear about on this game plan is the Veveverse. So the Veveverse aspect to it. When it gets to the Veveverse, the first week of the Veveverse, maybe the first week or two, I'm going to sell all my cars. I'm not going to keep any cars. And I'll tell you the reason for this. Depending on what we get, depending on the user base at the time, hate to say it, but I don't want to see the Veveverse be a 2-week thing and then die off. But that's definitely a scenario that could happen. So the safest game plan for me is the first 2 weeks I'm selling all my cars. Now again, as the more interest goes on with the Veveverse, as more's in there, the cars could go through the roof. But I'd rather take the profit on the cars while I can. And I think the first 2 weeks of the Veveverse will be the first pump of the cars. So I'll give you my 3-day game plan. I'll give you my 3-month game plan. Let's give you a year game plan. So when I first came into Veve, the first thing I noticed about Veve was all the Marvel comics, all the big IP comics, all the old style comics, all the Silver Age, Golden Age comics. So I am actually bobsales not because I sell stuff in Veve, I'm actually bobsales because here in my town I actually sell a lot of stuff. That can be from Henry Hoovers, to vintage toys, to knives, to swords, to antiques. Also comic books. Now, I don't pretend I know everything about comic books that's going because I'm definitely no sleepyn or my collectibles, but I know comics have value and I know about the grading process, I know about all this sort of stuff, so I do have an understanding of the real life value. And let's face it, we do have a lot of grown men with a lot of money that are nerdy, which would be the greatest demographic for the app. Of course, not all comic guys are nerdy, of course. So my year plan, my long-term plan is definitely still to keep holding the comics. Now with the edition sizes going down, I am thinking of stacking more of them 10,000, 20,000 comics than the 30,000s and above. Take something like the Avengers Annual, which was 10 gems to purchase, and is very low mint. So I'm definitely going to tend to start looking more that side of the comics. And of course we have comics in showroom. Yes, we have comics in the Veveverse. So that will basically be our comics in the showrooms. Finally, a year in, we're finally going to have comics in showrooms. Hallelujah. And I do think this will affect all the prices of the comics. So anyway, that was just a couple of game plans there. A couple of reasons why the market's going down and up and down. Be careful with everything stated in this video. This is not financial advice and I'm being serious on this one. This is not financial advice. I'm just showing you one of my strategies, what I've been doing in the market. As always, like and subscribe or Chucky will come and eat you. So anyway, I've been your host, bobsales. This time next year, we will be millionaires. A peace.
Not one of them, Del. What do you mean you'll have one of them? £3, they're a bargain. Trigger, those are the ones that you sold me last week for a nicker each. No, they ain't the same. Mine didn't have them on.